Welcome to the Shield database. Please enter your access code. Welcome, Agent. The true identity of a superhero in the Marvel Universe is usually a strongly held secret. So much so that it is never spoken to anyone who does not hold the strongest confidence of its keeper. This seems to be especially true of New York's street-level heroes, and the Man Without Fear is no different. The catastrophic consequences that would result in a hero's exposure can range from imprisonment to the death of not only the secret's keeper but also everyone they care about. Because of this, it may come as a surprise to many to find that Matt Murdock is notoriously slapdash with his approach to keeping that secret under wraps, and because of this attitude he has been unmasked a number of times over the years. Occasionally this is a willing admission of trust to a friend, but more often it is the result of his enemies putting together the abundance of puzzle pieces that Matt leaves in his wake. When this happens, Matt invariably pays greatly. Here are just 10 examples of Matt Murdock being brought into the light. Spoilers ahead. During the Fall from Grace storyline in the 1990s, Daredevil found himself in a new costume designed to improve his strength and durability. Because of this, Daredevil was able to take on more powerful enemies such as Venom, Morbius the living vampire, and his demonic doppelganger Hellspawn. While he is taking on these threats, however, he is blindsided by Sarah Harrington, a young eager intern at the Daily Bugle who, wanting to make a name for herself, hacks into Ben Urich's computer and discovers the true identity of Daredevil and promptly goes on to publish her story. The fame she gains from this, however, goes to her head, and she arrogantly leads a mob to Mott's apartment and breaks in, demanding that people be allowed to know the truth. Once inside, however, the mob finds nothing but a normal man's apartment with some safety precautions such as padding on all of the corners. Deciding that Matt must be truly blind, Harrington loses all credibility. However, as an added precaution, Murdock uses the now dead body of his demonic doppelganger to fake his death and draw a line under the whole affair. Despite being consistently portrayed as the single closest person to Matt in the entire world, it took Foggy Nelson 347 issues and over 30 years to finally be exposed to Mott's secret. Not only this, but Matt wasn't even a willing participant in the reveal, being catatonic due to depression when Foggy walked in on him in costume. Foggy did not take the news well and was filled with anger at having been deceived by his closest friend for so long. Foggy initially takes this anger out on Karen, who he blames equally for keeping Mott's secret and not trusting him enough to let him know the truth about his friend, especially after his supposed death in the Fall from Grace arc. Foggy went on to get over his feelings of bitterness towards Karen, who was only acting out Mott's wishes, but his feelings of anger, betrayal and mistrust of his best friend stuck with him, and their relationship was never quite the same, with Foggy understandably acting antagonistically towards Matt for a long time after. When Typhoid Mary first entered the world of Matt Murdock, it was as an enemy of Wilson Fisk, not Daredevil. Seeing his new foe's abilities, however, inspired the Kingpin, and the tactician was quickly able to redirect the villain's brutality. He did this by revealing the identity of Daredevil and offering the man-hating Mary $1 million to seduce him, make him fall in love with her, and then crush him. An extra dimension is added to this plan, however, when it is revealed that Mary suffers from dissociative identity disorder, and while one of her personalities is successful in seducing the Man Without Fear, the other, more villainous personality utterly repulses the hero who sets out to take her down. This, however, doesn't go well, and Matt not only almost loses Karen Page, the woman he loves, but is also taken to the very brink of death, making this very nearly the most devastating instance of Daredevil's identity being revealed. Arguably the love of Mott's life, it is little wonder that Karen Page was one of the first people in the world to learn of the dual life of Matt Murdock. Not only this, but she was also the first person Matt ever willingly exposed himself to, and to this day she exists within a very exclusive group of people who can claim this honor. This particular unmasking came shortly after the death of Karen's father Paxton Page, who had descended into madness and villainy before ultimately falling during a battle with Daredevil. Karen did not blame the hero for her father's fate, however, and the two became so close that Matt was able to place enough trust in her to willingly unmask himself and confess his love for her. While this trust gave them the chance to be together, it would ultimately become Matt's undoing, as sometime later, much like her father, Karen's life would also spiral uncontrollably downwards, leading to one of the biggest betrayals of Matt's life and another unmasking. Though in the past Matt has been very creative in the ways in which he has managed to put the genie back in the bottle after having his secret revealed, he has never been quite as brash and eccentric as he was after his identity was accidentally revealed to his friends early in his career. When Spider-Man figured out the truth, he wrote Matt a letter to make Matt aware of the situation and to ensure him that his secret was safe. That could not have been further from the truth, however, as the letter soon made its way into the hands of Foggy and Karen. In what may be considered one of Matt's wackier moments, he decided that his only recourse would be to pretend to be his own twin brother Mike. Mike was cocky, wisecracking and arrogant, everything that Matt wasn't, and Matt loved playing the part. So much so that the charade went on for over a year before Mike faked his own death and Matt convinced everyone that he had trained a replacement whose identity no one knew. Though Spider-Man is usually portrayed as a rational character with the strictest of morals, there was a time in which he needed his friend Daredevil to stop him from going down a very dark path. After a serial killer loose in New York murders friends of both Peter Parker and Matt Murdock, the two team up to take him down. However, it soon becomes apparent that Spider-Man has been especially hurt by his friend's death and is emotional to the point of being unstable. Matt is justifiably worried that Spider-Man wants to murder the perpetrator, and the two clash. One thing leads to another, and Matt eventually finds himself being swarmed by an angry mob with Peter unwilling to help. Fearing he is about to be beaten to death, Matt calls out Peter's real name, which he was able to deduce by noticing that both Peter and Spider-Man share the same heartbeat. Hearing his name goes some way to reminding Peter who he really is and helps to put him back onto the right path. Now feeling that their friendship is as strong as ever and it only being fair, Matt reveals his identity to Peter, with the two going on to be allies both with and without masks. Ben Urich figured out the identity of Daredevil exactly how one would expect. Through his tireless work as an investigative journalist. Of course, it didn't hurt that Urich was present during a fight between Daredevil and the Hulk, in which he heard Matt's then-girlfriend Heather Glenn explicitly scream the name Matt when panic and fear got the best of her. This final puzzle piece confirmed Urich's suspicions, and he quickly began work on an expose for the Daily Bugle. Before publishing, however, Ben visits Daredevil in the hospital, where Matt, after some reluctance, admits all to Urich and tells him everything. When Matt is finished bearing his soul to the man with the power to destroy him, Ben proves how much integrity he has as a reporter and burns the story, knowing how much this act will cost him personally, but also knowing how much publishing the story will cost his friend and his city. Mark Waid's run on the main Daredevil series was very divisive for fans of the character. While many thought the run gave the character new life and depth, others felt as though the writer thoroughly misunderstood the character. One thing everyone could agree on, however, was that Waid knew exactly how to put the man without fear into impossible situations and still have the confidence to deny the character a quick, easy or convenient way out. This was the case towards the end of his first volume when Matt found himself at the mercy of a white supremacist group known as the Sons of the Serpent, who had discovered his secret identity and used the information to blackmail him into taking the case of one of their allies. After weighing up what would cost him more, being outed by the group or being stuck underneath their thumb from then on, Matt walks into the courtroom and on court TV outs himself to deny the villains their power over him. The result is that both Matt and Foggy are disbarred and forced to start a new life far away from Hell's Kitchen. In this issue, a man known as Mr. Davis is pulled out of bed at 3:00 in the morning and dragged to FBI headquarters by his excited agents. 3 hours prior, a man named Sam Silk confessed to attempting to murder the Kingpin, and now his life is in danger. When pressed, Silk revealed that many of Kingpin's men were dissatisfied with the way Fisk had been running his operations, specifically with regards to Daredevil. Silk reveals that Fisk and his men had known the true identity of Daredevil for a long time, but Fisk refused to act on it, causing a loss of confidence in him. The agents then focus heavily on the idea that Murdock and Daredevil are one in the same and seem to confirm it in their own minds. Davis then orders them to keep the information to themselves, as Daredevil has proven to be an asset to them and his identity is irrelevant to their current investigation. Nonetheless, however, Foggy Nelson is walking the streets of New York the next day and is horrified to see newspapers with the headline "Pulp Hero of Hell's Kitchen is Blind Lawyer." Matt's life following this was never the same again, and the ramifications of it were still felt within the series for well over a decade, making it one of the longest story arcs in the book's history. Born Again is credited as one of the most influential stories the comics medium has ever produced. However, it also happens to be arguably the single greatest example of the effect an unmasking can have on a hero. The unmasking itself also has a huge emotional impact due to the betrayal that lies at the heart of it. When Karen Page falls into a spiral of drug addiction, she finds herself with only one thing left with any worth to sell for her next hit, and so eagerly sells out Matt's secret for drugs. While this would be painful enough for Daredevil to endure, it is nothing compared to what happens after the information makes its way to the Kingpin. To test the validity of the claim, Fisk utterly destroys Matt's life, taking from him his license to practice law, his access to his money, his building which he has blown up, and finally his sanity. The story is a showcase of Matt's ability to get up again and again regardless of how badly he has been beaten down. However, the homeless, penniless, unstable Murdock eventually finds a way to fight his way back from rock bottom, and this endurance perhaps sums up why Matt is able to be unmasked so often and keep fighting the good fight. Because he is strong enough to face any challenge and come out of it standing tall.